Yeah, so we are about to open our season, hopefully in a week, or just over a week, with the weather looking good. We're keeping our fingers crossed. This 2023 season's going to be exciting for us after last year making the playoffs for the first time. The tone was just way different starting this fall. I think last year was kind of the first time we recognized what the next week looks like in postseason. And so, we talked, it had been a kind of a unicorn for a very long time. And then last year, it happening just really changed the energy from the start this year. The players recognize it's so special getting those extra days with your team and those extra moments. And so I think the first question back was like, how do we get back there? That being said, we lost a lot of experience last year, or with our graduating class, our fifth years. So kind of trying to figure out how we step up and fill those shoes has been also the question all year. So not just how do we replicate and try to get there again, but how do we make the adjustments too? So we have two fifth years back this year who have just been really consistent for us their whole career. And so I'm excited to kind of see them play with that consistency, but also that last season edge. And so that's exciting. And the rest of the group is small but mighty, and we're ready to kind of get some games under our belt and see what we're all about.
First question. So with your first game being 10 days away, what do you look for early as a coach in these non-conference games?
Yeah, I think for us, and maybe other teams with bigger rosters can look at things differently, but for me it's just about our players getting out there and taking full advantage of every minute they get to compete. I think we're always striving, as we develop their skill sets, for them to play with a little more discipline, a little more consistency, but we have to have them playing loose from the first game. And so I think the first game, for me, it's all about seeing how they show up, and if they're nervous, then they don't show up in those first 5 minutes, trying to get them to show up in the last 55 minutes and have some fun out there. Yeah.
Hi, good morning, Coach.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of those experienced players that you have back since you lost a lot, who are going to be kind of your key, experienced players?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, having Allison Hassner back in goal is huge for us. She made all conference as a first year last year, and she's just a very solid start to our defense. And I think last year she had a great year, but coming back and starting to get a little more leadership, a little more confidence is going to help our young unit back there. Our defensive unit is probably our youngest. We have one returning starter back there, so besides Allison, and she's coming in strong and ready. We also have some first years that are ready to step up and have some fun, but Allison's going to have to kind of step up back there. In the midfield and on the attacking end, we definitely have returners who have experience, and so they're going to need to score some goals, and probably a little more goals than they have in the past. But we have Lindsay Langford, who has been a top scorer for us the past 3 seasons, and she's back in that fifth-year role as a leader. She's playing great. She's playing well off of new players, off of returners. So just looking for her to, be steady and maybe get a couple more finishes than she has in the past will be exciting. Liv Christensen is another returner who, she's one that I think doesn't get a lot of credit, but she has been consistent since day one, making an impact on the field. She's versatile, so if she can't get in there on attack, she's gonna mix things up and cause turnovers and just be a factor out there no matter what. So I'm excited to see her play with that looseness and that freeness. And then Britta Solheim came back from an injury last year, came back swinging. She had a great offensive year. She's going to have to pull a little more weight probably in the midfield, but she's feisty and she's ready, and she's one that you just have to push the bar further and further for her. So there's a good group out there, a lot of other great contributors who have that experience from last year and are ready to fill in and step up.
You have two fifth years, along with a senior. How does that extra year maybe provide for more skill development or leadership development?
Both, and I think I really think it's such an awesome opportunity for these students, and we saw it last year. You can come into that fifth year with that added pressure. You're coming back for another year, you got to make that impact, but you can also choose to come back into that fifth year and just take it as your last opportunity to play. And I think last year's group really left everything on the table, gave it their all, and I think that was kind of the conversation with these two fifth years coming back is, hey, this is just about leaving one last mark on this season. And our senior feels the same way. She's gotten a lot of action all over the place, and she's ready for kind of one last time to do something special out there. So.
Yeah. You get the opportunity to travel with your team to Texas here in the next couple weeks. What does that mean for you guys building chemistry off the field and on the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be awesome. We're ready for some warm weather. We snuck outside yesterday. People were in shorts and t-shirts, which were crazy to see, but I think Texas will be a little more appropriate for that gear. But no, we're excited. We haven't traveled like this as a team since before COVID. Part of that was just kind of the roster and time-wise and everything, but we felt like it was really important this year. It's hard for us to get out and work as a group, and we had the opportunity to take on 2 games. So the team's excited. I've already had to remind them a million times that we are playing lacrosse down there, but I think just as valuable as those games are going to be those memories they're making off the field. So they're ready for that. They're ready for the games too, but we're excited just to kind of get the trip back on the schedule.
Can you talk a little bit just about the conference? I see kind of expect you to be in the middle of the pack. How do you feel about that? And talk a little bit about some of those opponents that you have this season coming up.
Yeah, I mean, our conference is competitive, and we've kind of been in the middle of the pack since the start of our program, and it's kind of where we are right now, and I think it's a fair look, but I feel good about not being in the top 4 because now we just get to fight. We get to try to step up and prove that last year wasn't a fluke, that we're one of the top 4 teams in our conference. That being said, our conference is always evolving. A couple years ago, I think we had close to 13 teams, and that was a whole thing. And then now, we've added another program with St. Ben's this year. You kind of never know what is happening on those campuses. So, I think that for us, it's just, again, taking each game, one game at a time. We're really focused on out of conference and getting everything we can from that so that hopefully we can be competitive in conference. But I'm excited to have a couple more games. St. Ben's, I'm excited to have them. Monmouth, I'm excited to have them back. Those have always, those are good games. And last year, I think all but one were within a couple points of each other. So it's a fun conference to play in. It's competitive with where we're at.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.